So Hamilton off the board. I mean, I can't argue with the pick. I just don't know if it's one that I can make. The downside of that pick scares me as much as the upside, like, makes me feel good about Billy Hamilton. He's kind of a terrifying player in that regard. Coming back to all players here, still mostly pitchers up top. Gio, Homer Bailey, Latos, Uehara. Manny Machado is the top-ranked hitter according to Yahoo, and I think he's dealing with some injuries as well. Oh, we have an I'm terrified sentiment echoed about Billy Hamilton. Anyway, what are we looking for here with this team? I've got Pujols, Carpenter, Donaldson, Ramirez, Harper, Bruce, Myers. A lot of young guys. Garrett Cole is my lone starter. It might be time to enter just the starting pitcher lottery. Just draft a bunch of starters and maybe even a closer just to kind of shore up that part of my lineup. And this is the kind of thing that you will have to do if you focus so heavily on hitting early in the draft, is use a lot of your mid-round picks on kind of, you know, starting pitchers with the upside to deliver maybe 4th, 5th, 6th round value. And the reason I choose to implement this strategy is because it usually works if you can target the right guys. And I've highlighted some of them already over here. I tend to skew younger. Latos, Bailey, Teheran, you know, Shelby Miller, Michael Wacha, Danny Salazar, Tony Cingrani. One thing these guys all have in common is youth. Mike Minor even. A guy like James Shields. We kind of know what James Shields is. We've seen him do what he does for a long time. And the problem with playing for a long time is that eventually you start to decline. And while I'm not saying James Shields is specifically going to do that this season, there's a chance it happens this season, whereas I really doubt that Julio Teheran is going to decline this year. If anything, he'll probably just get better, and which is why he's the type of player I would target at this point in the draft versus someone like James Shields. So, let's see. Steve asks, why is Elvis Andrus ranked so low this year? What is going on, and why is he so low? Yeah, it's a good question. It might have to do with the fact that he's going to, he's not batting leadoff anymore with Chu in town. But, I don't know. It's hard to say. So after Yadier Molina, Alex Gordon, Pedro Alvarez, Willen Rosario were taken. Rosario's a guy I like a lot. He is my number 2 ranked catcher, I'm pretty sure. Ahead of Mauer, ahead of Yadier Molina, ahead of Carlos Santana. I'm just a sucker for Rockies in general, especially guys who are good hitters anyway. I think he had better splits on the road than he did at home last year, and that's just icing on the cake with Rosario. Let's see. Yeah, still looking at pitchers here. I think Homer Bailey and Elvis Andrus were just selected. And I guess the other thing to consider would be another outfielder or just another infielder to kind of jump on that train. And I think there are enough infielder guys that will deliver value later that I can wait there. Looking at guys like even Anthony Rizzo, who's on the top of the hitter rankings, but still is a few picks down there. Michael Kadire, Brandon Belt, Matt Adams, Kyle Seager, Jose Abreu, Jed Jerko, even Nolan Arenado, the third baseman on the Rockies. I just talked about how I love those Coors hitters. So I think I could pass on an infielder. Outfielder might be a different story, so let's see who's available there. Top of the outfielder rankings are Jason Worth, Dominic Brown, Curtis Granderson, Michael Kadire, Shane Victorino. Yeah, none of those guys really thrill me at this point in the draft. Worth and Dominic Brown are both probably worth the pick. But with that said, I don't think they offer a whole lot over some of the guys you can have a little bit later, like Austin Jackson, Desmond Jennings, even Alfonso Soriano, Nelson Cruz, who just signed with the Orioles. He might be a little undervalued based upon the fact that he was a free agent. I think that the fantasy sites these rankings will start to push him up a little bit more now that he's signed with the team and we know what his role is. So let's go back to looking at starting pitchers. We lost Matt Latos as well. And top of the ranks are Gio Gonzalez, Alex Cobb, Mike Minor, Teheran, James Shields in some order. I think Teheran is my highest ranked guy. I'm going to double check that real quick. I could consider a closer here as well, but I kind of talked about how I'm not really interested in any of those guys just yet. Shelby Miller available? He is not. Iwakuma, I don't think I'm going to take him here. You know, I've got Minor ranked higher than Teheran, and so I will stick to the rankings for now and take him. He's not an exciting guy. It's not like he puts up amazing stats, but I mean, 180 strikeouts, a good ERA, a good whip. These are the kind of guys you need to load up your team with when you start passing on pitchers in the first 6-7 rounds. Oh, I just missed Shelby Miller. He got taken right before me. That's why he disappeared. He's the guy I would have taken there if available. I only have him ranked one spot behind Garrett Cole in my rankings. So, let's see. What to do with the next pick is a really good question. Pablo Sandoval was just taken with one of the picks before me. I'm kind of in a spot here where I'm basically taking a utility player or I'm taking a starting pitcher. I consider the infield spot basically a utility. I want to fill that with probably a heavy-hitting corner infielder. Not exactly sure who that would be at this point. I mean, Manny Machado is an interesting one, but I don't think he is necessarily on track to start the season either. I'm going to double-check that. So, third base, Machado. Tentatively scheduled to have a follow-up exam on March 18th. Could receive clearance for baseball activities at that time. He hasn't had any issues yet. Can do most of the drills. Still needs to run the bases at full speed and begin sliding. So yeah, it sounds like he's going to miss the start of the season, which is not something that thrills me, ever. So he's a guy I'll pass on at this point. I'm probably just going to take another starter. I think that makes the most sense for my team. And, you know, between Gio and Teheran, I have Gio ranked higher, but I kind of like Teheran's upside, and he's a little less of a risk at whip than Gonzalez. Gonzalez walks a lot of guys. So yeah, I'm going to take Teheran here. So I've got 3 starters. Kind of back on track as far as balancing offense and pitching. With that said, I'm definitely going to think harder about taking a hitter next time around. So we'll see who falls to me there. Might start loading up the queue with some of those infielders I'm interested in. If I can get Machado next with one of my next 2 picks, that's a pick I'll consider making. Brett Lawrie is a guy I think is pretty undervalued, especially because of his second base eligibility. To have him and Matt Carpenter would open up a lot of roster flexibility, where I could kind of shuffle them and Donaldson between second and third in infield to make room for maybe a late round value or a nice free agent pickup that I get later. So he's a guy I would definitely consider. I think he's kind of due to maybe finally deliver on the hype he had last year and the year before that. Other guys we need to think about, Anthony Rizzo, although I don't know if he's ever going to be a good batting average guy, and I tend to prefer guys who are less risky in that category. Kadir is a guy I like. Talked about Brandon Belt. Speaking of batting average risk, Matt Adams can't hit lefties, but can crush righties. I might be mixing that up, but I'm pretty sure he's a left-handed guy who only hits right-handed pitching. Talked about Jose Abreu and Jed Jerko and Arenado, so we're going to throw all of them in the queue. looking at who else is down here, like much deeper, Brandon Moss is a guy I want to keep in mind. Who else is down here, deep in the rankings? Jonathan Villar at shortstop for the Astros is a nice speed option for value drafters. He also is a batting average risk, but if you can get, I don't know, 35 to 45 stolen bases from a guy you have to take in one of the last rounds, yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with that. That's kind of par for the course, or even better than par. So, yep, still no chatting. 9 viewers. Thanks for watching, guys. Justin Klein says Rizzo was super unlucky last year. Profiles as a 275-ish hitter. Yeah, I mean, even when he was on the Padres, he never quite hit at the big league level the way he hit in the minors, and I'm worried that he's just one of those guys. A guy that just rakes in the minors, comes up, and then just can't deliver those same type of statistics at the big league level. I mean, again, he's super young. He could totally prove me wrong, but he does concern me. So after the Mike Minor pick, Pablo Sandoval, Joe Nathan. Oh yeah, I went over those. Julio Teheran. So that was my last pick. Sorry for repeating myself. The next picks were Jason Worth, Anthony Rizzo, Dominic Brown. And yeah, I mean, not bad value at any of those spots, but I mean, each of those guys comes with some amount of risk, as does literally every pick at this point in the draft. So it's kind of just picking the guys you like, taking swings, and seeing if you connect. I mean, you can make informed opinions, obviously, and that's what you're trying to do, but some of these guys will pay off and some of them won't. That's just how fantasy baseball works. So, in addition to infielders, I could definitely consider outfielders as well. And it's interesting to see the difference between infield and outfield. At outfield, Michael Kadire is, according to Yahoo, the second best player available. If I go to infielders, he drops all the way down to, what, the 7th or 8th best infielder available, according to Yahoo. Now, why Billy Butler is ranked higher? You got me. I have no friggin' idea. But that's how these rankings go sometimes. Gio Gonzalez still available. Maybe I'm not the only one terrified of that whip risk that he brings. So let's see. After Dominic Brown went Francisco Liriano, and Steve said that was an auto pick. He lost his connection. He was stashing him in the queue, and so that's why he ended up on the team. I mean, it's not a bad pick, I guess. He's probably got as much upside as any of the other starters available at this point. Then Jose Altuve, James Shields, and Manny Machado were taken. So, good luck, Mr. Harbison, with Manny Machado. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing any of my colleagues' names here. This is the first time I've been put on the spot with most of them. I'm not sure if you guys can read these Twitter handles in the chat box, but be sure to follow these guys and stay up to date with all the stuff that they're putting up at the Fake Baseball. See, that's when someone hacks my Michael Kadire pick. He just got selected. Nice one. Can't argue with that. Let's see. So pitchers available. Back to this plan. Gio, Alex Cobb, Matt Moore, Michael Wacha, Hyunjin Ryu, Hisashi Iwakuma, Danny Salazar, Chris Medlin, kind of at the top of the Yahoo ranks. Coming back to Greg's personal ranks. Still looking at Gonzalez, Masahiro Tanaka, Matt Moore, Alex Cobb, Cueto, Singrani, Ryu, Liriano, Wacha. So, I mean, most of the same guys. Just the order's a little shaken up. And that probably has more to do with, like, my own personal preference when it comes to building teams. Going for high strikeout, like good strikeout to walk ratio guys. Trying not to take a whole lot of whip risk. I'll take ERA risk a little more heavily. But I try to get guys who don't put a lot base runners as much as possible without giving up too much in terms of strikeouts.